always just come back to what are my intentions? What are their intentions? What are our intentions for our connection? The way to true and genuine love starts with our intentions. What are my intentions? What are my intentions when I'm going on Instagram while I'm in a relationship and I'm liking this guy's post, commenting, objectifying? I'm now giving part of my energy away to someone else who is not my partner. Am I in the pursuit of true and genuine love? I think not. Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Soul's Purpose Podcast with me, Ellie Marie, the podcast that aims at keeping you vibing high when you're feeling low. And today I got another one from Reddit that caught my eye, and it got me down a rabbit hole researching sexual energy and what all of this means and how it can affect your spirit and how it can ultimately affect your life. So let me go ahead and get into this post, shall we? Is this a bump in the road, or is my marriage crumbling? I'm feeling so hurt and overwhelmed by this entire situation. I do not want my marriage to fall apart, but the situation is weighing so heavy on my heart. My husband, 42 male, and I, 37 female, have been married for 15 years. We've had our rough patches, but I would say over time, our marriage has only improved, and the last 2 years have honestly been amazing. We communicate really well and have handled some stressful family situations as a team. He is my rock, my everything, and I love him beyond words. About 6 months ago, he expressed some interest in learning more about swinging, open marriages, etc. Basically just asking if these are lifestyles that we would want to learn about together. Now, I don't mind a good role-playing fantasy, but I wasn't sure how I felt about this. I did not feel pressured or coerced at all to agree, and did eventually express some interest in listening to a podcast hosted by a couple that are swingers. I love podcasts and listen to them on a huge variety of topics, so I thought, why not? I was not at all prepared for my emotional reaction. I would like to preface this by saying it was not an explicit podcast by any means. Super vanilla, terms like playing, and not a ton of spicy details. However, we were barely into the first episode when I started to feel uncomfortable and upset. To be perfectly honest, I felt sick. I was picturing what it would be like to be in a swinging situation, and I just felt overwhelming sadness. And the thought of anyone else touching my husband made me want to puke. This is not a metaphor. My stomach physically hurt. I tried not to freak out or have a huge reaction, and we did stop the episode. I did eventually start crying a ton and also apologized because I was surprised by how intense my emotional reaction was. My husband was super remorseful and felt so guilty. He assured me we did not need to continue exploring this topic. I was torn up about this for weeks. I felt sad, tearful, confused, and like he was bored in a marriage I thought was perfect. I felt like an idiot, my world shattered. He assured me that I am way more important to him than any of this, and he loves me. I would never want to do something that I didn't. This made me feel horrible because I was not angry with him or judging him at all for wanting to explore. I just personally know it's not for me, and it probably never will be. I love him so much, and if that is a lifestyle he really wants, I really do wish him well and want him to have that, but it won't ever be with me, and that breaks my heart. I want him to continue to be open and honest with me about his feelings, but I'm afraid he will start to bottle things up if he's afraid it will hurt me. Well, things slowly returned to our normal busy life. Communication continued, sex was great and becoming even more frequent, etc. Then about a week ago, we were getting busy and semi-role-playing / dirty talking about me being with other men. This is one of his fantasies. I was on board. It was a super fun time. But the next day, when we were talking about it, he mentioned that he fantasizes about me cheating on him, and that if I did cheat on him in real life, he might be more turned on and into it than bothered. Well, that broke me into about 1,000,000 pieces. I was quiet at first, but I eventually started crying and just told him that I feel like I am losing him. He felt bad and immediately started apologizing. He said he's just taking his fantasies too far and needs to get a grip. He's considering counseling and/or some self-help books. This makes me feel bad because there's nothing wrong with him that he needs to fix, but I also acknowledge that all humans can benefit from counseling and therapy. I try so hard to express that I am not judging him for his thoughts and curiosities. It's just that at this point in our lives, we seem to have some differing values and opinions when it comes to sex and sexual exploration. Also, we are not religious, so my struggles in this situation are not rooted in religious beliefs. He's an amazing husband, very attentive, helpful, and loving. He's also a great dad and will literally do anything to make our lives better, and I try to remind myself of this often. But I also feel like the rug has been ripped out from under my feet twice now, and a feeling of dread is creeping into my mind. I love my husband, but I'm afraid this is going to keep happening, and it's breaking me. I'm absolutely not interested in pursuing any sort of alternative lifestyle, and I don't want him to feel trapped. I don't know if he's having some sort of midlife crisis or if this really is the beginning of the end. I'm feeling truly devastated over this series of events. Am I just overreacting? This is a pretty common conversation, more widespread and more seemingly normal than you would think. I've done quite a bit of research on this topic, and I have to say, it really just depends on which side of the coin you are. There is no right or wrong. I don't think there's anything wrong with monogamy, and I don't think there's anything wrong with polyamory or open relationships. I think it just has to be about the people involved and if they're on the same page or not. In this story, it sounds like her husband has these fantasies that he's thinking about acting out and is asking if she has any interest in doing that. Clearly in the story, she says no. So they're not on the same page with this. What I have to say about this, I speak from my own perspective, obviously, my own feelings about this particular topic and how I've experienced it in my own life, in my own life experiences. And that's really all I can share. I'm just one person with a YouTube channel on the internet where there are hundreds of thousands of creators who have opinions and share them and perspectives and talk about this. I'm coming at this from a perspective of energy and how that affects your aura and affects your entire life, and how that has played out for me in my own experiences. Just so you understand, if you didn't know this already, everything is energy. Everything in this world is energy. Once you understand energy, you will have a much easier time being guided on your path to what it is you want, whether it's sexual satisfaction, relationship satisfaction, satisfaction in your own personal life, towards your own goals and values. And so, in talking about this topic, it's important to understand that this human experience is so complex, and these are the lessons that we come across that we can learn from, because everything in this game is a lesson. You just have to see it and take it for what it is and learn for yourself and hopefully evolve. What you invest your energy into determines your vibration. your aura. Your thoughts plus feelings plus emotions equals energy and vibration. And that's why I always talk about regulating your emotions, paying attention to your thoughts. The more negative thoughts you have, and they're not wrong to have, this is just the way the human brain works, but it's what you do with those thoughts and how they make you feel. And so the mindset is a really important piece of spirituality. In order to manifest the life that you want, your thoughts and emotions have to be aligned with the correct energy that you want to attract. This has been my mantra for the longest time. If you follow me this long, you know that. Importance of understanding energy and why your daily habits and what you engage in affects your energy. What does this mean? Well, for example, if I could give you any example, really, let's use I don't know if I can say this word on YouTube, but for the sake of not getting this video banned, I'm just going to use the word corn. And I think you know what that means, what I'm referring to. It rhymes with what I'm talking about. So let's say you have kind of an addiction to corn. It sounds funny when I say corn. But, I feel like there's so much confusion in this world. You have to pick your battles on what you're trying to be better at and work on. So this topic is a little touchy in the sense that I feel like if you used it every once in a while to engage in some kind of nirvana or with your partner, I mean, yes, it's exciting, but I would say, again, balance is key. Once it becomes an addiction, once it becomes something that you need to get off on, or you need that dopamine rush and that's the only way you can get it, then I would start to question, what are my intentions? Where am I putting my energy? But I will say that for someone who continuously engages in watching corn, what are their intentions? Where are they focusing their energy? Because if you engage in that enough, you start to focus your energy on getting that dopamine rush, getting that hit of nirvana, that enlightenment. Orgasm presents a feeling of enlightenment similar to 5D. That is one quick way to get to that state, that higher state of consciousness. And that is why it's really important to harness your energy correctly so that you can achieve true nirvana in the spirit of love and in a healthy way. Because if you just try to use a shortcut and achieve this enlightenment and this nirvana through orgasm all the time, it loses its value. It's not special anymore. And then it becomes even more confusing. Your energy becomes even more confused, and you start to question your own identity. And that's a whole other topic, a whole other video. Harnessing your energy is not a one-off thing. It is a daily practice. Again, if you're trying to figure out your spiritual path, but you're using corn as your dopamine fix constantly, you are now focusing your energy on something that doesn't help you evolve. And that will then affect your aura and your vibration, and that takes you down to a lower vibration, which then makes it harder for you to spiritually evolve, right? What you eat, what you think, what you engage with, who you sleep with. As much as it hurts and it's so difficult to admit that these things I mentioned exactly affect your human experience and your aura and your energy and your vibration, it is true. I could go into a whole other video and talk about why what we eat is important, but it's not the topic of this video, so I'll leave that out. But being conscious about what you put in your body, including sexual energy, what you think, how you feel, who you engage with, the people around you, all that affects your aura, your vibration, and your energy. So that's why it's a mindful daily practice. And it can be a lot. It can be overwhelming, I understand. So that's why I say tackle one thing at a time to better raise your vibration and improve your energy and therefore improve your human experience. But back to the story. Transference of sexual energy. You may not know this, but who you engage with sexually, you spend your sexual energy on that person, and you then take on their sexual energy and their baggage as well. So say you are someone who is kind of like, without a care in the world, just having fun. If I want to sleep with somebody, I will. It's not a big deal, but it is. Because when you transfer your sexual energy to this person and vice versa, you are taking on whatever baggage they hold internally, and that gets mixed up with your own energy. And that can be pretty detrimental to your own spiritual health. Especially if you're engaging in sexual acts with someone you don't really know. You don't know what they have baggage-wise, spiritually, and you will be taking that on inadvertently, and that will affect you in your own life. So that is why I'm very careful with, even when I was single, I was very careful about that, because I now understand energy. And so perhaps take a moment to think about your sexual experiences and what that means for you if any of this resonates with you. Inadvertently causing a soul tie with someone you don't necessarily want to be tied with. If you're not familiar with that term, I suggest you Google it, do some research on it. Essentially, the basics of it is if you feel so tied to somebody that maybe you're not feeling very closely connected with, maybe you're yearning for their attention, but they just use sex to be close to you, and you give in to that without first forming a foundation, like a solid foundation of friendship, companionship, a desire to build on true and genuine love and a true genuine connection. This can cause a soul tie you don't necessarily want to have. And it becomes a little bit more difficult to break away from this kind of energy. Because whether you want to admit it or not, when that oxytocin is released, you create a bond with this person that you've engaged with sexually. And it then becomes way more difficult to break away from someone you don't want to necessarily. What about masturbation and orgasm? Wanting to feel nirvana through orgasm 5D, but is only temporary. Just like we talked about earlier, there's a lot of research with, I don't know if you've heard of NoFap, especially with males practicing semen retention and how much more clear their mind is. It's less foggy. Their energy is better spent. They improve their aura and their vibration. Obviously, monks do this. It's meant to harness your energy and elevate you spiritually. So by practicing abstinence or even abstinence through masturbation, you can really harness your energy properly this way. This is not easy to do, I know, but it comes back to what you want out of your human experience. Back to the story. So in this story, they're kind of talking about the term cuckolding. So you're welcome to research that too, what cuckold means. And I don't have extensive knowledge on this topic. I've just recently researched it. But from reading articles from, written by psychologists, it seems that there's a sense of humiliation or degradation that then gets transmuted for the cuckold male to a sense of empowerment. Perhaps something from some inner child wounds or not feeling like enough. In this way, and in many forms of BDSM, that power dynamic comes from wanting to be empowered over the things you felt powerless over in the past, is my understanding. Correct me if I'm wrong, let me know in the comments. But if that is so, then I don't really see how that can be a positive experience and lead to a positive human experience for him or her. First of all, it sounds like for 15 years, they were both on the same page about being monogamous and building on their marriage and their love and their connection together, just the two of them. Then one day, her husband springs this on her and says, it would actually turn me on if you cheated on me or if you were with another man. Coming back to cuckolding and how he feels or thinks he would feel empowered by watching her engage sexually with another man, to then empower himself over the humiliation or unworthiness he may feel about himself or things he suffered from in the past. Always go back to your intentions and energy. I would think what's needed here is that they go back to basics with each other and be able to continue to effectively communicate about the situation together and figure out why he has this desire or this urge or this fetish, as some would call, for her to engage in something so personal and so intimate and so deep with another male, someone who is not her partner. I would ask why. There's a deep, deep reason here, and the why is really important. And if they both went to maybe a sex therapist or a counselor to kind of figure this out together, there are a lot of avenues that they can take to build on that underlying connection first, and then all the other stuff just follows later. Because love being the highest energy of all, and understanding energy, and love is energy, and we are all energy, that we just need to get down to the basics of it. Start with love. Ask why. Communicate and connect. And I bet you they can find a lot of different ways to learn each other again, start a new cycle, start a new relationship, and what that means for them, which they likely will need after 15 years. That's a long time to be together. And sometimes it's about rediscovery. I don't think there's a need for any blame, and there's nothing wrong with him, and there's nothing wrong with her, certainly. They're just two people at a point in their connection, in their relationship, in their marriage, where they need to kind of rediscover each other and ask the why. There's an important why here that needs to be gotten to the bottom of. Because I bet if he was open and honest and vulnerable with her about why he feels this way and she understood, they can then find resolution. But I know that something as sensitive as this topic can be pretty jarring and unnerving to discuss, and our initial emotions are always the worst. The fear, the ego pops up, and we don't know how to respond. But if they can find a place where they can just have a moment to process what they're feeling, and then come together and find out the why, perhaps with a professional, I'm confident there are many ways they can reinvent their marriage and probably get closer than ever. So in conclusion, back to energy. If you're uncertain if you're in a relationship or a connection that is right for you or that has true meaning for you, always just come back to, what are my intentions? What are their intentions? What are our intentions for our connection? Because the way to true and genuine love starts with our intentions. What are my intentions? What are my intentions when I'm going on Instagram while I'm in a relationship and I'm liking this guy's fitness model's post, commenting, objectifying? I'm now giving part of my energy away to someone else who is not my partner. Am I in the pursuit of true and genuine love? I think not. And this is more common than a lot of us would like to admit. Perhaps you're in a relationship and you know your partner likes some girl's photos on Instagram, maybe he DMs them. He says it means no harm, it's nothing. A lot of people do it. Just because a lot of people do it doesn't mean it's the right thing to do. A lot of people feel like shit. Is that the right thing to do? No. If you are in the pursuit of true and genuine love, it always comes back to energy and what your intentions are. And my next video will likely be about expecting more of yourself and therefore expecting more of your partner. Because obviously now you can't be asking for all of this if you yourself have some bad habits. Where does your energy lie? What are your intentions? I've talked about this heavily in my own relationship as we are both learning, my partner and I, on what love really means. And I think I'm rediscovering it for the first time in my life. New cycle, and that's what this is all about. Evolution, spiritual evolution is continuous cycles of lessons and learning. And I have to say, I do remember when I used to be toxic and I used to seek validation and I didn't know the right way to act, but something always told me inside, why am I doing this? Why am I liking this guy's picture on Instagram just because I watched him on TV and I thought he's cool and I'll check out his Instagram and, oh, yeah, he was a nice looking guy. Oh, yeah, I liked his shoes. I loved my partner, the person I was with back then. So why was I doing this? And I didn't understand any of that behavior until I did my own work and learned my own lessons about energy. And now, with the work that I do and my own learning every day, I now understand what it means to pursue true and genuine love. And it starts with me. It starts with my intentions. It starts with harnessing my own energy. And when I radiate love, because I am love and I am made of love just like you are, just like a bad disease like cancer, it spreads. Good behavior and good love can spread and infect someone else as well. And just like in my last tarot video, and I talk about enforcing good cycles instead of thriving in bad ones, because chaos is sometimes too familiar and all we know. It forces you to change habits. It forces you to do things differently, but it makes for such a better human experience. Why wouldn't you do that? And so I say to you at the end of this video, what do you take away from this? What are your intentions? Where does your energy lie? What is your aura like today? If you're in a relationship and you deal with these distractions in your own relationship, whether you yourself or your partner, it's time to take inventory and have some real, honest, authentic discussions, not arguments, just discussions, speaking from a place of love, humbly from the heart, and really saying, what do we want here? Why are we together? Is it just because it's convenient? Yes, you love me, I love you, but what does love really mean? What are your daily habits? What do you do with your cell phone when you're not with me? How do you act when you're not with me? Are you looking at other women when you were going shopping? Are you looking at other women when you're at the gym? That means your intentions are not really with me and your energy doesn't really lie with me if you're not focusing your full energy into me and what we're trying to build, which is true and genuine love. And then take inventory of yourself. What are some habits that you're doing where you are not focusing 100% energy on your person if what you're trying to build is true and genuine love? These are some deep questions. I hope they help you today. Please hit like if this video resonated with you. And if you want to know when I go live next or when my next video comes out, just hit subscribe. And I'll talk to you soon.